Today, we're diving into the legend of Ashwatthama, and this is a story where an ancient, epic myth seems to bleed right into a haunting, modern-day mystery.
See, this story isn't just about a life. It's about an endless existence. A figure who's been whispered about for centuries, supposedly seen just wandering through the ages. He's trapped in this impossible state that just breaks all the rules of nature, all because of a divine punishment that has stretched on for thousands of years. And let's be clear, this isn't about the cool kind of immortality. This is about a life that has become a prison, one where death is a sweet release he can never, ever have. And his story is a pretty chilling reminder of how one man's rage can echo for all of time. So, let's get into it.
Now, to really understand the curse, you first have to understand the man. I mean, who was Ashwatthama before he became this eternal, cursed wanderer?
Okay, so Ashwatthama was not some ordinary guy. He was the son of the legendary Guru Dronacharya, so he was literally born into greatness. Get this, he was born with a divine jewel embedded right in his forehead. This thing was like a superpower. It made him immune to everyday human needs like hunger, thirst, or getting tired. He was blessed by Lord Shiva himself and was destined to be a Chiranjeevi. Now that's a big deal. It means he was one of a very select few beings granted the gift of near eternal life. So from the moment he was born, he was basically meant to live forever.
But you know, even a divine destiny can get completely derailed. During the massive, world-changing Kurukshetra War, a single, carefully crafted lie became the tipping point. Not just for the battle, but for Ashwatthama's very soul. You see, his father Dronacharya was this unstoppable force on the battlefield. The Pandavas, his enemies, knew they couldn't beat him with brute force. So they decided to use deception. And they targeted the one and only thing that could truly break the great warrior, his love for his son. And here's where the plan gets so cruel. Yudhishthira, who was famous for never lying, was the one to deliver the news. He shouted, "Ashwatthama is dead," but then he mumbled under his breath that it was actually an elephant with the same name. Of course, in the chaos of battle, all Dronacharya heard were the four words that absolutely shattered his world.
And boom, the effect was immediate. Completely heartbroken, believing his son was gone, Dronacharya just dropped his weapons, and in that moment he was killed. For Ashwatthama, this was everything. He didn't just lose his father, he lost him to a dirty trick. And that act didn't just make him angry, it twisted his anger into a terrifying, all-consuming need for revenge.
What happened next was one of the most brutal, horrifying parts of the entire epic. A massacre in the middle of the night born entirely from grief and rage. So, Ashwatthama, fueled by this fire, gets an idea when he sees an owl attacking sleeping crows in the dead of night. He prays to Lord Shiva, who grants him incredible power. Then, cloaked in darkness, he sneaks into the Pandava camp while they're all celebrating their victory. He goes straight for Drishtradyumna, the man who actually killed his father, and murders him. But he doesn't stop there. He moves like a ghost through the camp, slaughtering warrior after warrior in their sleep. And in a final, awful act, he murders the 5 sleeping sons of the Pandavas, thinking he was wiping out their entire bloodline.
But as horrifying as that night was, believe it or not, that wasn't the crime that earned him an eternal curse. His rage wasn't satisfied. It demanded nothing less than total annihilation.
So yeah, you would think that slaughtering a sleeping army and killing 5 children, that has to be the point of no return. But in his fury, Ashwatthama was about to commit an act that was somehow even more unforgivable.
When he realized the 5 Pandava brothers themselves were still alive, he decided to end their future once and for all. And to do that, he unleashed one of the most powerful and feared weapons in all of existence, the Brahmastra.
To really get how bad this is, you have to understand what the Brahmastra is. This wasn't just a weapon, it was basically a cosmic nuke. It was a force of utter destruction, said to be able to wipe out the whole world, make the land barren for centuries, and kill every living thing. It was a weapon you just didn't use, especially not against people.
And Ashwatthama aimed this world-ending weapon, not at an army, but at the womb of Uttara, who is pregnant. His goal? To kill her unborn child, Parikshit, who was the last heir to the Pandava bloodline. An attack on an innocent, unborn life? That was the ultimate sin.
This was a line that just couldn't be uncrossed. A sin so terrible that divinity itself had to step in. And Lord Krishna, well,
He delivered a judgment far more terrible than any quick death. Krishna intervened and miraculously saved the unborn child, but then he turned to Ashwatthama. He ordered that divine jewel to be ripped from Ashwatthama's forehead, leaving this gruesome, open wound that would never, ever heal. And then came the curse. He would wander the earth for 3,000 years, his body rotting with diseases, unable to find love or shelter or peace. He would scream for death, but death would never answer. His immortality, once a divine gift, was now his eternal prison.
And this is where the ancient epic crashes right into our modern world. Because those 3,000 years, they're up. But the stories haven't stopped. In fact, they seem to be getting even more specific.
What's so wild is the consistency in these stories. At the Asgarad fort in India, locals swear that a tall man with a bleeding wound on his forehead still comes to a temple every single morning to pray. There's a well-known account from a doctor who said he treated a patient with a strange, non-healing head wound. When the doctor jokingly asked, "What are you, Ashwatthama?" the man apparently just vanished into thin air. Even the famous guru Pilot Baba claimed he actually met him in the Himalayas. But it's the description from that doctor's account that really sticks with you. He described the wound as looking as if his brains were pulled out from the front of his head. It's a gut-wrenching image that sounds exactly like the story of a jewel being violently torn from someone's forehead thousands of years ago.
Look, these are more than just simple ghost stories. They are persistent, detailed accounts that have somehow survived for centuries. It forces you to ask a really unsettling question. Are these just the echoes of a powerful myth? Or is the cursed warrior Ashwatthama, a man who cannot die and a soul that cannot rest, truly still walking among us?